All right. We might make a start. Good evening, everyone. It's fantastic to see so many of you here standing room only. That's wonderful. They've hopped you on buses from Clayton and come into the centre of town to see where all the action is in biomedical research. So that's fabulous. And I'm sure this has got nothing to do with the free pizza we're offering at the end. So my name's Terry O'Brien. I'm the acting head of the subfaculty of Translational Medicine and Public Health, which is the two schools that are offering the honours program here, along with our partners at Baker and Burnett. I'll tell you a little bit about us in a little bit. But before I do that, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which we meet. We're meeting on the lands of the Burrong and Wurundjeri people of the Eastern Kulin Nation, and we pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. So this is the subfaculty of Translational Medicine and Public Health. We were formed in 2019. Our subfaculty dean, our real subfaculty dean, is Professor Steve Jane. He's on 4 months long service leave, hiking through the Peruvian Alps at the moment. So as long as he doesn't fall off the track, he'll be back with us in November before you start your honours program. So the subfaculty of Translational Medicine and Public Health consists of two schools. We're two of the largest schools in the university, and together we form over a third of the faculty of medicine and about 45% of all research income. So the school in my normal day job that I head is the School of Translational Medicine, and Professor Ben Marsland is now acting in that role, and he'll talk to you specifically about the School of Translational Medicine a little bit. And the other school in the faculty is the School of Public Health, which is headed by Professor Sophia Zongas. And we have Professor Dragan Ilic, who is the Deputy Head of School, who's here with us today. The two schools go everywhere from fundamental discovery research through to population and health outcomes research, with clinical trials and clinical translation in the middle. We are focused, as you can see, at the Alfred campus here, which is Australia's #1 academic health centre, as per the US World and News Report. We are the site that patients come to be treated with their most difficult to treat conditions, and we are extraordinarily lucky to have within our walls not just really advanced medicine, but also really advanced science. And so it's the place to really look at research, to do research that is looking at the cutting edge of advances in patient care. We do more clinical trials at this site than any site in the country, with over 650 active clinical trials. And we also do have a particular focus on this site of early phase clinical trials, which is the first time a treatment is given to a patient with a disease anywhere in the world. And we have over 50 of those trials active here, as well as for the School of Public Health, many community-based trials, some of which are some of the largest in the world, involving over 20,000 patients. But we're more than just the Alfred site. We have really important research and educational activity at Peninsula Health, at Cabrini Health. We have some of the best institutes that are affiliated with us, Baker and Burnett Institute, and we have really major commercialisation partners, as well as partners with government and non-government organisations. So very broad reach in terms of the impact of research that you do. As I mentioned, we have, with the joining of the two schools into one subfaculty, we go everywhere from basic translational medicine and discovery science through to clinical trials and clinical research, through to population and public health research. And if you notice those arrows, they're bidirectional arrows. People often talk about bench to bedside, but in fact, as in an ecosystem like we have here, it's one of the secret sources to the really exciting research that's been done and the breakthroughs is the arrows going back the other way. Having clinicians seeing patients, understanding where the gaps in care are, where there's the need to advance, to make discoveries, to advance new treatments, taking that back to really outstanding basic scientists like Professor Marsland and saying, let's develop a new treatment for this condition, then taking it back through clinical trials. And that's the sort of ecosystem we have here, and that's the sort of ecosystem you can be involved in with your honours project and hopefully PhDs and subsequent work. Whatever disease you might be interested in, across the breadth of adult medicine we cover here, we have major strengths across just about every organ system disease. We don't have paediatrics on site here, but we do have many projects, particularly through general practice and others, that involve children. And we do, while we don't have obs and gynae, we do have a lot of projects that involve women's health. So just about the full spectrum of research, biomedical research. So I think now I hand over to Professor Marsland to talk about the School of Translational Medicine.
Hi everyone, it's a pleasure to be able to fill in for Terry today and give some background as to what the School of Translational Medicine is all about. I was given my first slide and I noticed that somehow Terry managed to bomb in a quote in there. So we'll start off with the eminent Terry O'Brien, who can't seem to escape, but he's right on point with these with this quote, which is, "These are exciting times for science and medicine, and honours in a hospital environment is where you get a front seat in the revolution." And it's very much aligned with, I guess, many other eminent people such as Anthony Fauci, who many of you might have come to know during the COVID pandemic. He was really front and foremost at during the HIV epidemic. He was at the NIH and an advisor to the president. But essentially he's saying the same thing, which I think really hits home for me as well, that there is so much discovery that can happen inside a laboratory and in the clinic, even when you least expect it. And today, talking to a colleague who was visiting from New Zealand, asking me whether I was still excited about science and how did I keep enjoying what I was doing. And it really is coming from that discovery aspect, that being surprised and looking for new things, and then the potential to then take that forward, that keeps me personally going. And I think that really speaks to the heart of what translational medicine is. And perhaps the most important quote on this is coming from Wanji Wang, who's a current honours student, and he said, "I knew I wanted to do translational research to design a drug that actually helps cure someone. That would be the most exciting achievement." And again, that's exactly, I think, what we are trying to do at the School of Translational Medicine. It's taking things from the start of discoveries right through to the clinic and back again. And this is a slide which is quite similar to what Terry just showed for the whole school. But when I joined the school about 6 years ago, and why I'm still excited about being here, in fact it drives what we do every day, it's based around this fact that within this school, we can take this entire pipeline from absolutely fundamental discoveries, whether it be a cell or a molecule, and it could be targeting those with a biologic such as an antibody, developing the antibody yourself, small molecule, developing the small molecule yourself, or a nutritional diet, developing the diet yourself, looking to see how it works preclinically, whether that be in cells or in animals, understanding that early stage development process, and then taking that through to the clinic. This being one of the best and biggest centres for clinical trials in Australia, you can go straight into first in person and then straight into disease. So if you look at all of those different factors together, I think one of the reasons that the School of Translational Medicine is so exceptional, one of the few places in Australia that you can actually have access to and achieve a lot in the drug development pipeline, is that we have all of these and experts in all of these areas on site, and many of those people who are working in those labs or running those labs, you'll get a chance to talk to and meet today, depending on where your interests particularly lie. So the school is made up of 18 departments, centres and institutes, and Terry's already highlighted this to an extent that pretty much all of the main medical disciplines that you would expect are covered here at the school. We have Australia's first dedicated departments to neuroscience and diabetes. And the thing that's close to my heart, and I think it's the way that a lot of research and development is going within the school now and into the future, are these discovery programs that we're starting. Now, the whole basis of a discovery program is embracing the fact that to really make big advances, we're going to need interdisciplinary interactions. Because you need to get out of your silo, your research silo, and focus on this individual question and talk to others who might have complementary ideas in different types of disciplines. And so examples of those discovery programs that we have at the moment and that there are honours projects available in and lots of active research is the GIN discovery program, which is gastroenterology, immunology, and neuroscience. So how does the gut talk to the immune system and to the brain? The bladder and kidney health discovery program, which covers from urology to immunology and infectious disease. And a new one, which is just kicking off soon, which is going to be really exciting, and that's the skin discovery program, and that's particularly dermatology, big data, bioinformatics, and AI, and cancer. So this is a way going forward where we see to make big advances, you need to have cross-disciplinary interactions, and that's all available within one precinct in school. So where can this sort of thing take you? So depending on your aspirations, a lot of the 40% of the Nobel Prizes in medicine have gone to clinician scientists, and that's probably not on the cards for the majority of people in this room. But I think what it really speaks to is that clinician scientists, or being in a clinical environment and being a scientist, really helps you to ask the right questions and to think through what's going to make the biggest impact on healthcare and people. And usually it's understanding what the key questions are is what drives good science. And again, that's something that we really strive for here. And I think being in a clinical environment, doing basic research or research all the way through is really valuable. Careers in commercialization come out of this type of research as well. There's a huge biotech and pharmaceutical industry, particularly overseas, but also major players around Australia, some of whom are directly located here in Melbourne. Great opportunities to be able to develop the fundamental skills here and then take them through to industry. Managing clinical trials, not only is this precinct one of the biggest and best for clinical trials in Australia, but internationally, Australian clinical trials are perceived really well, not just for their quality, but for their cost effectiveness and their ease of development. So clinical trials in Australia, compared to other countries, is really a strong point and a great growing area. For those of you who will end up going into medicine, having an understanding of all of these different disciplines at a fundamental research perspective, and really understanding the science behind diseases and drugs and how they work, can only be of great benefit to supercharge you as you go into clinical practice. And then the final side is research and innovation. That's a major interest here on the precinct as well. It ranges from, as I alluded to earlier, drug development through to devices, medical devices, and now more and more AI, digital health and apps. And so with that finishes my overview. Perhaps we can just have a quick round of applause, though, just to acknowledge the student ambassadors who have been helping you all develop. James, Carolyn, Rhiannon, and Weishan for all your help. And with that, it's my pleasure to hand over to Associate Professor Ross Dickens, who's an ACPT, and he's overseeing the honours program and able to share some real insight into what doing an honours here is all about.
Thanks, Ben. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Alfred Precinct. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the honours at the school, the Translational School. You'll hear from the School of Public Health in a minute. So we split, and it's an administrative split only, but we split into 3 streams. We usually have about 40 or 50 honours students per year. And all these happy faces are the honours coordinators who you work with closely. They're all listed here, and we've got a lot of experience with supervising honours students and understanding the issues that come up during the honours year, and we help you get through. We work with the supervisors, we work with the students, and it's a pretty seamless and a smooth process. It's the coursework and the lab-based work are integrated really nicely, and the timing of the year is worked out quite well to maximise the worth of the year for you as students. So why would you do honours? clearly you strengthen your undergrad degree by getting the honours appended to the end of that BSc or Bachelor of Biomedical Science or whatever it is that you're doing. I think the main thing is you really move essentially into the workforce. You're still getting a degree, but you join a lab, you join a team, and you're working as part of that team to answer a scientific or medical question. Your supervisor cares about that question and has a lot of experience in that question and will work cheek by jowl with you. And you'll also be working with other people in the lab who can teach you techniques. And together you get that kind of intellectual plus practical hands-on experience that allow you to morph into what's essentially a functioning scientist, a junior scientist by the end of your honours year. So I think, you've been absorbing information for 15 years, primary school, high school, now undergrad. Now it's time to start emitting. This is an inflection point in your career where by the end of your honours year, you are producing new data that no one else has ever seen, and you're starting to, turn over rocks that no one's looked under and understand how disease works and indeed how to treat it. So I think it's a really fascinating year. You will gain insights into science as a profession, like what it's like to be a scientist on a day-to-day level basis. For example, at this time of the year, it's about halfway through. My honours student is doing experiments alongside my postdoc, and they're doing really similar experiments. But they've got vastly different experience levels, but you will get that experience and that expertise by the end of the year. It's a pathway to a higher degree. It's a stepping stone towards masters. Often it's a feeder into the PhD program. And if you want to do medicine, you can transition into medicine. It helps. So I think definitely PhD, it's a really good toe in the water if you're interested in doing a PhD. You want to do honours first because you get to experience your own honours lab, but you also get to see what all of the other honours labs look like, and you may find other labs around that actually suit you better than the lab you're doing honours in. Often people love the lab they're doing honours in and they want to stay on for PhD. It's really an individual thing, and it depends on the fit between you, your interests and your supervisor and the team, and a number of other variables, of course. So honours comprises a quarter coursework, and we try to minimise it, although it's important. There's some certain kind of field-specific and experience-specific things we like to include. We also need to rank the students to an extent in some kind of an objective way, but a lot of the coursework is finished very early in the year, and then you get your chance to sink your teeth into the research project, which is a fluid thing. We often sit down with our honours student at the start of the year and say, all right, well, this is aim 1, this is aim 2, aim 3, and then a month later it's kind of changed. But by around the middle of the year, things are set, and you become an expert in your technique, in your problem. You learn how to present the work, you learn how to present the background, the question, the hypothesis, how you're going to address it. And then at the end of the year, you get to talk about the results you've got, place them back in the context of the literature, and indeed move the field forward and hopefully contribute to new science. We make sure that even if your project doesn't work out and you don't have some groundbreaking Nobel Prize winning discovery, noting that 60% of Nobel Prize winners are not clinicians. I'll just put that plug in there because I have a version. That we make sure that it doesn't matter, that it's really about your ability to communicate the scientific question and what you've done and what you discovered. Even if it doesn't work, what would you do better next time? So we create an environment that, because a lot of science is failure. So you may fail, but as an individual, you'll learn and you won't be penalised for your experiments failing. So each individual student's honours experience will be very unique, depending on the lab they join, etc. So entry requirements, I'll breeze through very quickly. You've probably seen all of this. You have to pass, that's fair enough. Other degrees are considered, apart from just Bachelor of Biomed or Bachelor of Science. We need a 70% plus average. I think that's a good bar. Some differences if you're coming from a university outside of GIO. I guess most of us here are Monash, but and there's no mid-year entry. It's a single intake year. I think at Clayton it might be an mid-year entry as well, but we're a single start of the year entry calendar year honours year. So This is a particularly important slide, I think, for tonight. When we break from this session, you'll be out there, you'll be talking to prospective supervisors. Again, now this is, you want to separate yourself from the pack. You want to talk to individual supervisors and lab members, see if you get along. If you've seen something in the handbook, you like the look of it, approach the supervisor directly, talk to them, email them follow-up questions. If you want to meet them again subsequent to tonight, that's fine. We want to hear from you. The honours program is very important for us as potential supervisors. It's a little bit of an engine room of our lab that feeds PhD students. So this is a really important night for us, as well as you. So please engage with us directly tonight and by email subsequently. My last slide, so honours is a sprint, it's not a marathon. I think this is Tori Lewis doing the 200 metres just a few days ago. I think it's an amazing year because I did an honours year way back, and a lot of you may not know what you want to do with your career, but I think the honours year is really good because you may not find out that you want to do a PhD or you want to do medicine or you want to do any of these things. But I think at this stage, half the challenge is finding out what you don't want to do. And that's really, really important. If you do an honours year in a lab, you may not love that, but you'll find out, you'll be exposed, especially when you're off campus at a place like the Alfred, you'll be exposed to a panoply of the broad spectrum of clinical and scientific research that's involved in human health. And you get exposed to the whole thing, and you might find something else that you really love. Honours is really good. You'll join a team, you'll produce new information, and yeah, good luck with your decision, and I'll see you all later on. I'm just going to pass over to Dragan Ilic, who is the Professor of SPHPM. He's looking after the undergrad head at that school. Thanks, Dragan.
Alrighty. First of all, thank you everyone for taking time out on a Thursday night to hear about honours. It's exciting. Yeah? Yeah. I'm going to be talking about a School of Public Health and just providing you with some options from that side of things. So just to highlight, because obviously with COVID, everyone now knows what public health is. Well, hopefully you do. I think everyone knows how to pronounce epidemiology and realise that it's got nothing to do with skin. So public health, what do we focus on? So yeah, we've got a little bit of laboratory work, but we're more so about the applied side of health. As the name suggests, we're focusing on the public and population. We're all about preventing. So how do we prevent harm? How do we promote good health? And so we're very much at that other end, as Terry and Ben were talking about the bench to bedside. We're almost at that beyond stage where we're interacting with the population and promoting it at that level. So I'm just going to pick up on a point that Ross mentioned. And you mentioned that honours is really great if you don't know what exactly you want to do. I wish I actually done honours many, many years ago. I thought I was going to be a professional tennis player, but lack of talent pretty much ended that. So I spent a few years trying to find out what I wanted to do and fell into public health and really wish that I'd known about it many, many years ago. So what I would like to say is, if you, let's say, I'll put it this way, if laboratory work maybe isn't for you, consider public health. We do have a little bit, but it's the focus is much more at the patient participant level of the spectrum there. So what do? We do a lot. We're not dealing, like I said, with pipettes in the laboratory. We're interviewing people. We're analysing data. People often think when we talk about public health that it's all about data analysis. And yes, there is that component to it. So if you're good with maths, good with numbers, there's the data analytics side, which is just blowing up in terms of jobs. But there's other aspects to it. There's interviewing people, developing policy, working up communication strategies. And boy, didn't we need some good communication strategies a few years ago when we're telling people not to go outside of their homes. Is this being recorded? Maybe not. But really funky new things as well. Digital health, you know, I haven't got my iWatch on, but if it did now, it'd be measuring my heart rate. So, you know, how can we use that information to promote good health? That's just a bit of a snippet of what we do in public health. We do other things. So we've got the Department of Forensic Medicine. So for those of you who might be interested in CSI and sort of going down that pathway, really cool. They're over at the South Bank facilities with the Victorian Institute of Forensic Medicine, but also here with us at 553 St Kilda Road. Health economics is another area which people don't normally think about when we talk about public health. But again, areas that you know, we use on a daily basis. You know, the cost of medicines, what gets on to the PBS, what doesn't, how do we cope with all of that? Health and the legal side of things, health law and ethics. So a variety of areas, and if you just Google, or even if you jump on YouTube and you type in what is public health, it's a really nice 5-minute video which outlines all of these options for you. A little bit about us. So this is the used car salesman in me coming out, so bear with me for 2 seconds. But along with the School of Translational Medicine, which is awesome, we like to think that we are also awesome when it comes to public health. We kick goals, and dare I say it, if we're at the Olympics now, and there was Olympics for public health, we'll be getting the gold medal. So we're a large school, one of the largest schools of public health in the Asia Pacific. Not all about rankings, but we've just cracked the top 20. So when you think about that, you usually think about, you know, universities such as Harvard and Cambridge and Oxford and all the rest of it. We're right up there when it comes to public health. Research, we're a very intensive research and education school. So we have a really good nexus between our researchers, our educators, and also the clinicians based here at the Alfred. And I said I wasn't going to do this, but I can't resist. We're based at this wonderful precinct. You've got the School of Translational Medicine on one side, School of Public Health on the other side. Hunt Road, Commercial Road, Chapel Street. Compare that to Clayton. That's all I'm going to say. I'll wrap up soon, but just to highlight, we've got international leaders in their field. Current leader, infectious diseases physician and researcher and educator, leading a wonderful project in climate health and planetary health, particularly on our front doorstep, really, in Indonesia and Fiji. Great clinician researchers that we've heard about. Sue Davis, an example here, and great networks with the relevant health professionals. So Chris Barton is one of the leaders of our undergraduate honours program for the med students, but provides great networks with the general practice society as well. So just wrapping up, just to highlight the various areas that you can go, because I think it's one of the questions that I always get asked is, okay, if I do an honours in public health, where does it lead me? It's not quite like, you know, going off and doing physio, you become a physiotherapist, nurse, become a nurse, etc., etc. If I do honours in public health, what does that mean? Well, the world's your oyster, as they say. You can work in government, industry, a few examples there of where you can go, research institutes, etc., etc. So a wide variety, and what I ask you to do is go out and chat with the relevant folk that we've got out there. Last slide that I've got here, just following on from what Terry, Ben and Ross have said, and I'll quote Molly Meldrum, there you go. Do yourselves a favour, go out there and have a chat. What I'd recommend is if you're interested in research, do honours, explore, have a chat with people, because you're going to be spending the next 12 months with them. So you want to have a good connection with them. You want to be there, you want to be working. Go out, explore, have fun, ask questions, and hopefully we'll either see you at Translational Medicine or Public Health. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for your time. I'm going to hand over to Professor Basha Duick. So Basha, a lot of you would know Basha from BMS or Med or Health Sciences. and she's going to be talking more about our specific undergraduate program.
Hi everyone, lovely to see you here at our Alfred Precinct. As you can see from the previous speakers before me, we're super excited to have you here on our site. I've seen so many of you at Clayton and at Caulfield. I'm still fond of those campuses, but I have a strong bias to the Alfred Health Precinct. I mean, I started here in 2006. I love this place. It's not only the space and the change and the impact, it's the people you work with. So everyone's talked about relationships. Your honours year is the foundation of a relationship where you learn about yourself and what you want to do with the degree that you're doing, but also with a relationship with other researchers that you can join their team and excel and, you know, do your absolute best in the area of interest to you, but also grow something and make an impact to a population. Because that's what we do on this site. We make population impact. At the School of Public Health, we're really proud of our honours program. We have a very diverse program of 3 groups, which I'm going to go into before. But the idea behind the honours program and why I'm so passionate about sharing this experience with you is it's all about increasing your skills and increasing your exposure. So that's in terms of your ability to really interact with a research question, medical evidence. You've done systematic reviews, you've looked at medical literature. It's time to take a research question, make it your own, work with others who are leaders in their field and really define that space and see where that leads you. And like the other speakers have said, is this an area that you want to be in? That is one of the questions you need to answer for yourself. And honours year is not also, it does just because you start in one area, doesn't mean after the honours years you can't do a PhD somewhere else. So it's a good understanding of this is the space, this is what I want to do. Maybe this is, I'm not sure what I'm doing next year, a good way to answer. It really does boost employability because you're building relationships and networks in addition to all the other things that you're doing. And one of the things that you may be able to do is engage with the vast opportunities that come with you by doing an honours project. And that includes potentially getting your first publication, which is, you know, some students who are med students have rolled that over into scholar intensive placements and things like that. As the SIP coordinator at the School of Public Health, we see a lot of MD students come back and do a SIP with us and then write up the manuscript during that period. But we do support that kind of professional development if that's something that you're interested in. It's hard, not Nobel Prize hard, but it is something that we do want you to develop as a skill. How are we enhancing your skills? How are we making you, giving you the skills that you need to be, you know, to enjoy a career going forward? So why study with us? Well, there's a bunch of dot points up there of why you would study with us. We're part of we're part of a very dynamic part of the Alfred Health Precinct. There's Baker Heart and the Diabetes Institute, the Burnett Institute, where we've got the Victoria Institute of Forensic Medicine, Department of General Practice. We are a collaboration of every kind of chronic disease that you may be interested in, but we translate that into making a difference. If your interest is planetary health, fantastic. There's a project for an honours student waiting for that. If you're interested in, I was talking to Dr. Shannon Gray yesterday about her Healthy Lives Matter group, and they're looking at how we work healthier. And we're all at work, I mean, all the time. So how do we have healthier workplaces? Or maybe polypharmacy is something that you're interested in. These are the kind of research projects looking at adherence, and all those kind of complexities of a clinical setting that we can provide. Why else study with us? Well, this is a fun slide. We also want to make sure that our opportunities and our relationships that we have are extended to you. So our honours students, you're not just a student, you're part of our team, you're part of your sub-faculty. We want you to come along on the ride with us, and when we do something like the World Health Summit, we want you to be involved. Earlier this year, the School of Public Health hosted the World Health Summit, and so many students got involved, not just from undergraduate degree, but our honours students as well. And we're so proud to see them up there on the stage, shaking hands with our head of school and just engaging with our partners. Having the students there was one of the best. You know, I had a photo there with the student. I was so excited to have a photo with one of my students. So let me tell you about our honours coordinators. We have three honours programs. First of all, we have our health science coordinator, Dr. Stella Tallich. Stella is doing a lot of work in polypharmacy and adherence and cardiovascular disease. She's also having honours students, but she oversees our program for our Bachelor of Health Science students and Bachelor of Health Public Health students, and some science students can do it also. We have Kelly Allen here in the front row, who is our biomedical science honours coordinator. Again, someone you should really talk to. She's Kelly has vast experience and has been teaching as the Bachelor of Biomedical Science for a long time, worked for the Cochrane for a very long time. Please come and speak to her about your interests there. And our last but not least is Associate Professor Chris Barden, which I'm not sure if he's here. And if you are, sorry, Chris, I can't see you. But Chris is our med coordinator. All three of them work together to help develop our honours programs, research skills, share experiences together, and really provide a world-class experience for our honours students. So what's a day in the life of an honours student? What a good question. Well, your days will be varied depending on the project, but what we want you to know is we're starting off with essentially writing an introduction and understanding the background of the research. So that's, searching literature, understanding the evidence, developing a project, developing a protocol, what is the aim, looking at then what you're actually going to do. Some of you might be building protocols. You might be actually looking at validated questionnaires and going out and interviewing. Others might have a clinical registry that you're tapping into data, pulling that data out and working with a researcher to make sure that happens. You might be completing ethics applications. It is really varied and your output is varied. And that's what's so exciting. What a journey that you can go on where you're the author and the co-pilot at the same time with the supervisor. What skills can you learn? Biostats, epidemiology, health promotion, data collection, focus group design. It goes on and on. But in addition to that, key soft skills that every employer is looking for: communication, teamwork, working with communication, teamwork, the top two really, but also writing skills and analytic skills and critical thinking skills are key skills that every employer wants. Dragon's covered this, I think, really, really nicely. We do a lot of things at the School of Public Health because we are a large school. That sometimes can be a little bit challenging. What do I want to do? Please jump on the School of Public Health website, really explore and go outside and talk to some of the unit heads and some of the researchers out there and ask them, what are you doing, and learn more about their project and how you would fit in with their team. This is probably the most important slide, and it has a chicken on it because it's all about how to choose a supervisor. And don't put all your eggs in one basket. Picking your supervisor is one of the most important things you're going to do for an honours project. First of all, you're going to make a decision that you think this is what you want to do. And then next, you need to find someone that you're going to go on that journey with. And it's really important that you're on the same page, that you have a good communication strategy, and that you can work together for a year. So it's really important that you talk to lots of supervisors, see what different supervisors and areas have to offer, and really communicate with them, not just today, but going forward. Learn about them, come and see where they work and engage with them before you submit your honours application. This relationship is really important. And of course, come to the School of Public Health. We look forward to you joining our team and learning more about what our school does, and then hearing you all present at the end of the year, which is coming up soon. Thank you very much. It's now my pleasure to hand over to two of our students who will be able to give their personal experience. The student voice plays such an important part of our education programs. They'll be giving their first-hand experience from their honours years last year. First up, we'll have James Hickey from the School of Translational Medicine, but he'll be followed up by Shivangi Shah from the School of Public Health and Preventive Medicine. Welcome, James.
Thank you. So I'll just talk about my honours experience. So I did honours last year, so pretty recently, and I was based in the Department of Neuroscience. My project was looking at sports-related concussion. And I was also a biomed student before that as well. So I think my slides are probably going to echo a lot of what's been said tonight, which is probably good to hear someone who's sort of done this recently have the same sort of ideas about the whole honours experience. But I think the main thing is it's sort of nothing like I've ever experienced at uni. You're really placed into this working environment where you can sort of have exposure to these researchers and really good scientists and really have first-hand experience of learning from them, which is something you don't really get when you're at university and watching lectures on your laptop or something like that. So yeah, what's pretty exciting is you get to do your own original research project. So this can be clinical or lab-based. Mine was a little bit of both, which I thought was really interesting. Sort of got to learn a bit of both sides. And you get a chance to present this at 2 seminars across the year. So you get to practice your public speaking skills and really being able to convey what you've been doing in a research context to a larger group of people, which I think is a really important skill and something that is really only learned through practice. And like what's been said earlier as well, there are some coursework side of things, but you sort of get that over the way pretty early. And that way you get to really sink your teeth into the actual research and focus on that without any stress of having any sort of exams or anything like that. And really focus on writing and finishing your thesis. So yeah, you also have a literature review you do at the start of the year to really understand the topic that you're researching. And then the thesis essentially is the main purpose of the year. So yeah, just a few things I want to touch on. One thing I probably think is the most important, and it has been said again tonight, is I think it's really important to meet with potential supervisors and talk to them and sort of get to know them a little bit. See if they're a person that you feel comfortable asking questions to, or someone who you think you'd work really well with. You don't want to get stuck in a year and be put in an environment where you don't feel comfortable, because you're not really going to learn in that sort of environment. I think that's probably the main thing. And another thing you can do is if there's people here tonight who are in a lab or they're in a lab group that you're sort of thinking about potentially meeting or working with, talk to them and ask them what their experience was like, whether or not, how they find work and whether they sort of enjoy the environment and things like that. And a few common misconceptions is that you'll be left alone or you'll sort of be put into this environment where you're expected to know everything. That's not the case at all. There's so many people who are really, they just love science and love being there, love teaching and love talking about the things that they're researching. So people are more than happy to help you, which I think is really important. And yeah, I definitely felt comfortable my whole honours year asking questions, and it's okay if you don't know something. People are always there to help you out. It is a busy year, but it won't take over your life if you work hard while you're here and enjoy all the things outside of work and uni. But yeah, if you do have any questions, feel free to email me. I'm more than happy to chat to anyone. Or I'll be down at the Department of Neuroscience stall as well. So feel free to come and have a chat. I'd love to talk to you guys. But yeah, now I'm going to pass to Shen, the next speaker. And yeah, thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Shivangi Shah. I completed my Bachelor's of Health Science in 2021. So I was sitting in a similar information session 3 years back and here presenting my experience with it. So just before I give you an insight on what my project was or what the year looked like for me, I'd maybe start by saying why I chose it, why I chose to do an honours year. Well, first to begin with, an honours year gives you a platform to conduct independent research, put all the theoretical knowledge that you learned during your 3-year degree, put it into a real-world research project, which is exactly what you want after 3 years of doing lots of study. Additionally, when I was looking for jobs in my final semester, looking at the criteria, most of the job applications would say an honours year is desirable. So I quickly realized that it adds a significant value to your resume. So why not? That is why I picked up doing an honours year. Next, so what did my honours year look like? So which is going to be a bit different to, I think, lab-based research. So I was obviously not based in the lab. I was analyzing pre-collected data. I used data from a massive clinical trial, also known as the ASPRI clinical trial, which has pre-collected data on about 20,000 participants. So I was analyzing all of that. And trying to giving you more better insight on what the entire year was, I'd like to split it in two halves. The first half was, as James previously said, finishing up all the coursework early in the year, which is great, gives you lots of background of and support of where to go when you need it. Then doing lots of literature searching because you want to identify the gaps early on, which you can then address through your research project. And then the second half for me was basically cleaning up all the data that I had, performing very complicated statistical analysis on a software called Stata, which was a huge learning curve, I'm not going to deny. But you know what? It was invaluable learning experience. I use it literally every day right now for my PhD. In fact, some of the same analysis that I did back then are being just expanded on right now. So it was great learnings. Moving on to what an honours year lead me to, a lot. First one, I build, it significantly boosted my skills, methodological research skills, critical thinking, how to speak in the public, lots and lots. I can go on and on about that. In addition to that, I built a strong network with academics and professionals in the public health workforce in the area that I was interested in. I got the opportunity to present at 2 international conferences following my honours year, which was great. Lots of exposure. And the other thing was getting, as everyone said, get your first author publication, which was a big win at the end. And most importantly, pave foundations for my PhD studies, which I'm currently pursuing actually with the same supervisory team that I had at my honours when I did it. And to finish off, what advice or biggest or what learnings I have to give to you guys right now. One is please take this opportunity to go and talk. Don't just collect the pamphlets, talk, ask questions, because that's how you're going to know what the project is. And you know what? It's okay to shop around. Let me be very honest. It's very important that you pick the right project for yourself because you're going to be working on it for 12 months. Second, it's very important to pick the right supervisor. And it's okay to shop around. Go talk to everyone. Go talk to them even after today. Ask them if there's anything else they have. Is there something that you like that you could add and maybe they could modify it for you? They will be more than happy to do that. So always ask, because if you don't ask, you're not going to get it. So ask and communicate. And the other thing I'd like to say is that it goes by really quick. So make sure you are writing your thesis as you go, bits and pieces, because it's always good to have dot points when you start rather than starting on a blank page. And otherwise, I'd like to wish you all the absolute best, choosing your project, choosing your supervisors. And I'll be at the booth as well. If you have any questions regarding my project or my experience, happy to answer any of those. Thank you. And I'd like to pass it on to Professor O'Brien again to finish up.
Right, so thank you to all the speakers and to everyone for your attention. I hope you you come away from this absolutely enthused about how exciting it is to do an honours year and then a PhD, because I know some of you here are actually thinking about your PhDs. So biomedical research is a really exciting place to be. You have the potential to make so many lives better in the future. And it starts all here. And there is no better place in the country or in the world to do your biomedical research. So on that note, I've got a couple of housekeeping things for everyone. Firstly, not that we're into gadget or gimmicks, but we do have show bags. And within the show bags, 2 of those show bags have a $50 shopping voucher you can take down to Chapel Street and spend as you like. And as we mentioned earlier, we have pizza. So do get the pizza, but most importantly, it's about academic food, and we have all the supervisors, the various departments, go and have a chat to them, get email addresses, and then organise to follow up and visit people's labs. So enjoy the rest of the evening. Pizza time.